What's up, everyone? Welcome to Level 7. It is time for another episode of the Agents of Fandom podcast. I'm your host, TJ Zwarych, ready to talk about the last two episodes, the season finale of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, joined, as always, by my co-host and good friend, co-host of the Comic Corner, Damon Gray.
You didn't start the final episode of this with the one phrase you've been using all...
It's spider time!
Haunting.
Eddie,
Haunting.
shoot the spider bot, please. Somebody.
Just someone take down those nests. That's all I ask for. I'm doing great.
What's up to the chat? Shout out to those who are watching us live. See, we got MTF already in there hanging out, joining us as well. We got a 4-man booth today. We couldn't do a season finale with just 3. So we got 2 wonderful guests today, starting things off. Co-host of the Reckless Rebellion podcast. He's been here before. You know him. TCR, Thomas Carter, Rochester. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm here not to talk about Star Wars. I think this is the first time ever.
Ooh.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Welcome to the show for some Spidey, my friend. Anytime it's Star Wars, where you're always one of the first people we call due to your expertise in the genre. Genre is not the right word.
Franchise?
Franchise. Thank you. I couldn't think of franchise. And so happy to get you on for some Spider-Man as well. And making his debut on the Agents of Fandom podcast. Long overdue. Co-host of the Alternate Timeline. Dennis, how you doing today, my friend?
Man, I'm doing all right. Thank you so much for having me. Obviously been a fan of you guys for a while. And I know you guys through the Listen 3000 and them. I know they're on a break, but yeah, man, always following you guys and appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you. Happy you're on today. And we actually, not only do we have a jam-packed week of shows, but we got a jam-packed Invincible show tomorrow as well, because if I'm not mistaken, Dennis, we got your co-host Jam joining us for the Invincible after show. Myself, Sean from Metalcore Nerds, who you can also find his debut review of Reacher Season 3 up on agentsoffandom.com, as well as Fat Thor, TJ Pastilli, co-host of the Comic Corner. I believe Jam's joining us to talk some Invincible tomorrow. And then on Friday, myself and Rachel Leishman will be joined by Liam Crowley of Screen Rant to talk some Severance. We're going to break down episode 6 right after that releases. My favorite show on TV right now. Let me tell you, wow. Join us for some Severance if you're tuning into that on Apple TV+. And then, of course, on Saturday, you got the Comic Corner as well. And hey, with no Spider-Man next week, Daredevil not starting yet, we might have a live show on Wednesday for Comic Corner because...
Definitely not.
Definitely not, because Damon's going to be working. But we threw out the idea. You're getting a peek behind the curtain, and here we are. But before we talk about Spider-Man, TCR, I haven't talked to you in a while. Dennis, It's the first time on the pod. I want to know what you're watching. What you watching? Anything? It could be for work, but it could also be for your own enjoyment. Any books you're reading, any games you're playing. Let us know. Dennis, I'll throw it to you first. What you watching?
So I'm a big anime guy, so that's where all my stuff is at. React to Solo Leveling on the channel and Sakamoto Days. Reading Sakamoto Days as well, manga. A bunch of other anime. Like I watch a lot of silly, stupid anime, like just trash anime. Like 12 episodes of trash anime. I'm like there. But I probably need to get into shows like Severance, and because everybody's talking about it, and I'm like, I don't want to be left out. But I watch a lot of anime, too much of it, and love it. So that's what I'm doing.
Everybody needs something to kind of comfort, put on in the background. You know what I mean? Like for me, we kind of always have either Avatar: The Last Airbender or Legend of Korra going at like kind of all times. We're just going on. That's what we fall asleep to, have on in the background as we work. But when I was really wanting to dive back into, I've been craving a rewatch lately, and I don't know for the life of me why it's not on Disney Plus. It used to be on Disney Plus in the UK, and for some reason, anytime I go on Disney Plus in a browser, it thinks I'm in the UK, and so I was blessed. I got to binge the whole series, but now it's gone again, and that's X-Men Evolution. The phenomenal X-Men show about them while they're in high school, except for Wolverine and except for Storm, they're teachers with Professor X, and it's such a great show, and I've just been craving a rewatch, and not there.
That's the one with Goth.
Goth Rogue? Yeah,
oh,
absolutely. TCR, what have you been watching?
Cap 4. Sweet. Liked it. Good movie. Had fun. One of them days, went and saw that Sunday. My days are all messed up after the day off on Monday, but one of them days with SZA and Keke Palmer. Fantastic. Highly recommend. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on the Letterbox, so that'd be an 8 out of 10. Might be higher than that when you go on the 10 scale for the aggregation of it all. I just made that word up, I think. Daredevil, rewatching season 1 through 3. A lot of traveling going on, so I watched, quote unquote, season 1 and 2 while driving to and from Orlando and Tampa. I can finish a whole season if I watch it straight through on one of those. My girlfriend is going through the Clone Wars for the first time, so I've been watching a lot of that with her. We actually watched Last Jedi, so we have one Skywalker Saga movie left, plus Solo after that to go through. And then SNL 50. Took me a few days, but I finally got through that whole episode of the special episode. What is it? The special whatever celebration anniversary shindig that they did. Had a lot of fun. I feel like I've been watching something else and just for the life of me can't remember it, but that's what happens when you have spent way too much time traveling over the last, I don't know. We're like a month and a half into this year, and I'm like, yeah, I've been traveling all of it, it feels like.
Time traveling, interesting choice of words with the finale that we have of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man here. Damon's favorite topic. Damon, what have you been watching?
Not much, honestly. And by the way, if you're in the United States, you can still watch X-Men Evolution on Disney Plus.
Is it on Disney Plus?
That, Canada.
Damn.
Take that.
It never used to be, so I wonder if when it got taken off the UK, if it got added to the States one. That's no problem. I can figure out a way to get my Disney Plus thinking I'm in the States.
No, I've just been going back and kind of catching up on some fairly recent runs that I haven't been pulling at my comic shop in terms of comic book stuff. So I've been catching up on a lot of the X books, the Daredevil run that's going on right now. Most of them fine. Nothing really blowing me away. In reality, there's a reason I'm not pulling these on like a monthly basis. So that's what I've been doing.
A lot of talk about Daredevil, and I have finished my Defenderverse watch, and I also
can I just tell you what they made Matt Murdock become in this recent Daredevil book? This is wild. This is wild.
Also, stay tuned to the Comic Corner on Saturday, or not? Actually, don't stay tuned for it on Saturday. I think it was the last one where you got to talk, and I'm assuming a rant came with what they're doing with Gwen Stacy too.
Oh, you're gonna hear a new one, by the way. Good lord. Anyway, because they actually revealed what they're doing with her, and God Almighty,
it's brilliant. It's original. It's all new. Marvel.
Anyway, they made
stay tuned for Saturday for a Damon rant.
Anyway, they made Matt Murdock essentially an exorcist.
Huh?
Well, that's fun.
Okay.
It's wild.
That's fantastic.
That's fun. I like that more than what they're doing with Gwen. That's for sure. So very, very interesting. Speaking of Daredevil, I did finish my Defenderverse watch. I have seen the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again. I'm not going to tell you my thoughts or reactions. I'm going to keep a totally straight face because I'm not allowed to talk about it for 5 more days. But there will be a review from myself coming to agentsfandom.com. And on Saturday, this coming Saturday, when you're listening to Damon rant about the new Gwenpool, I'm going to be interviewing the showrunner and executive producer for Daredevil Born Again. So if you got any questions, hit me up on socials at Agents Fandom on TikTok and Twitter, Agents of Fandom everywhere else. We got a really, really fun interview coming, so make sure you stay tuned. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our Daredevil Born Again live shows immediately after each episode, so you don't miss out on our interviews. We got interviews that have dropped already with Robert Kirkman and Simon Rasiopa, creator and showrunner of Invincible, as well as with Julius Ona, director of Captain America Brave New World. You can find that all up on the Agents Fandom YouTube channel. Find a breakdown of Captain America Brave New World up there as well. And so hit the like button, subscribe, and make sure you check it out. What's good, TCR?
So I'm only rewatching Daredevil. I watched everything, I want to say, up through Luke Cage season 2. What came out after the Defenders 8-episode thing? Was it
Jessica
Daredevil
Jones,
season
Daredevil
3?
season 3.
Dude, that was the first one? Okay, then I haven't seen anything after Defenders. I pulled a full CW and just stopped watching after Crisis. So
make sure you watch the 3rd season of Daredevil. Nothing
Yeah,
else is necessary.
Okay.
Season 2 of Luke Cage and season 2 of Jessica Jones, I would still recommend watching. They're not as good as the first seasons, but they are still very good. Punisher season 1 and 2, I don't think you necessarily need to for Daredevil Born Again purposes, but it is just as high quality television as Daredevil is.
I think
Jessica
I made
Jones
it.
season 3, Iron Fist season 2, don't worry about it.
Jessica
don't.
Jones got 3 seasons? Really?
And season 1 and 2 are great. Season 3, you do not need to watch it.
Did I watch season 2? I can't remember now. I watched season 1. It was so good. I loved Luke Cage. The last 2 episodes were like, which was still a thing for Marvel Television. Defenders was a show that existed. The Iron Fist season 1 was fine. I was told season 2 of Iron Fist is better than season 1. So, hey, maybe I'll enjoy that. But Punisher, I think I'm 4 episodes into season 2 and stopped watching, and that was 5 years ago because I was busy. And so I have to go back and just start all over. But stuff happened in season 2, and I'm like, wait, do we meet Micro in this? Do we meet, the Thing in this series, or is that just in Punisher?
He's probably the second most main character in the Punisher.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. So I'll finish Daredevil season 3. I got, 2 weeks? Yeah, it'll be fine.
You got lots of time. I want to know what you guys thought of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Season 1 is out. I said from my review from the very beginning, I thought this was an awesome Spider-Man show that I really enjoyed. But what it sets up for season 2, I think I liked even more than what we got in season 1. And I finally get to talk about all of it because the last half of the finale is just like, set up. Constantly one scene after another, and I can't wait to break it down with you guys. Damon, now that we have seen the entirety of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man season 1, what did you think?
I liked this show as much as I was hoping to when it was announced. My hype for the show started so high, especially when I saw the concept art, the characters. I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be so up my alley. And especially when we eventually learned that this was kind of a what if in a way, because at that point all doors are blown open. Once I saw the trailer for it, I was a little, we'll see. I don't know, but everything about the show, it just got better and better and better and better as the season went on. Not something we can really say so much with many Marvel television shows that each episode straight up gets better. I came away from this so excited for more. I loved so much about the season, from how mostly grounded it was and just how much it played within the MCU, but adjacent. And because of the adjacentness, how much you're able to just toy around with it and have fun. I dug this show so much. I am so happy with how much I enjoyed this show. This is something I can easily see myself putting on in the background just over and over and over again.
Dennis, what do you think about... We'll still wait to dive into the breakdown and the spoilers, but just as a whole, what do you think of season 1 of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man?
Yeah. So after I finished that final episode, I texted the group. I was like, I need 10 seasons. I need 10 seasons. It's exaggerating, but I'm obsessed with it, man. I fell in love with these characters. The storylines, different story arcs that they had for these characters, really dug. Obviously, Lonnie. That's when I like first got invested. His story arc. I'm like, okay, I'm in. I'm in. They got me. But yeah, I think it's phenomenal. I love like what Damon said, it's its own thing. It's not in the universe that we know of, the 616 or whatnot, kind of a what if story. And yeah, they can kind of do whatever, and then just like random things can just happen and pop out of portals and stuff. So you're like, all right, cool. Like it's almost like the canon events for Spider-Man aren't even a thing in this too. Kind of even blows past that. So I'm with it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's so I'm with you 100%. Like I'm a Spider-Man fan above all else. Like this is what made me love Marvel. It made me love superheroes. So I'm gonna like anything Spider-Man pretty much no matter what. But it was Lonnie's storyline that hooked me the most because I was kind of expecting him to just be like a sub in a Flash Thompson for this season. I kind of just expected him to be like, okay, he's the jock that's really cool, and Peter's crush is dating him. This is going to be Flash Thompson. But it just ended up being a totally different character. He was such a nice guy, and he got you so invested in his story straight from the very first episode. TCR, what do you think about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1?
I might be hyperbolic here, but overall, it's a 10 out of 10 for me. It is Spider-Man through and through to its core. The very first... My introduction to Marvel was the 1990s Spider-Man animated series. So every time something animated Spider-Man comes out, I'm just like, how will this compare? And this, in my opinion, hits the notes more of... hits those notes that that show did more than other series, while also making it more kid friendly, because that 90s show was dark, man. Just like the X-Men, just like Batman the Animated Series, they were getting us ready for life after being a child. So the way that they had I had the same feeling watching this, especially as we got deeper into these last, the back half of this series. The last 5 episodes were just so much fun. And I didn't start watching until I watched most of episode 1 on the 5th of February, and then I think I watched like the last 7 like over this past weekend. So I just happened to be locked in for this finale, and just an absolute thrill ride all the way through. I love that. I mean, they do the Marvel thing where it's like, oh, we got to make toys, but they explain why he has a new suit. What's up with this suit? Why is this suit slightly different? And he really only goes through 3 real suits that he uses, but he's got all these test suits that just fail over and over. And it was really interesting to see that, like Dennis said, they kind of skip past the canon events that normally happens in all Spider-Man stuff and just skip straight to, you're bitten by a spider, now you're Spider-Man. What do next? What do now? And you learn on the job. It's very much the 90s Spider-Man energy of just like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know I'm going to do it really well and wing it if I'm not doing it well. And I loved that about this series. And when we finally got the new, like the classic suit, it just, man, they made you earn that, and it was totally worth it the entire ride.
It's crazy to think about how just good we have eaten through the years as Spider-Man fans, because we have had 8 live action Spider-Man movies, 10 Spider-Man movies total. 1 has been bad, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and even that, Andrew Garfield was still so good that it's still a very watchable movie, despite it not being a very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And even with those 10 Spider-Man movies, I would say, the Mount Rushmore of Peter Parker stories would be 90s animated Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and Insomniac Spider-Man. To me, those are probably the four best Peter Parker stories we've gotten outside of comics in our lifetime. And that's with 10 Spider-Man movies, 8 of them focused on Peter Parker. That's pretty crazy considering how high quality Spider-Man movies are. And so just thinking about it, we have really, really eaten pretty good as Spider-Man fans over the years, because we obviously have these 2 spectacular Miles Morales movies. 7 of 8 Peter Parker movies are, I'd say, 6 of 8 Peter Parker Spider-Man movies, taking out Spider-Man 3, I would say are worst 8 out of 10. And so I agree with MTF in chat right there. That's why Spidey's the GOAT. That's why he's arguably the world's most popular superhero. If not him, it's Batman. So shout out to former co-host and co-owner of Agents of Fandom, Garrett Blaney, hanging out in the Facebook chat. What you doing over there on Facebook, Garrett? Get over here and join us on YouTube. But we thank you for tuning in nonetheless. Let's start breaking down episode 9. This episode begins with the classic Spidey suit being back. TCR, I'll throw this to you first because you brought up the suits in your reaction. To me, it doesn't matter how cool the suit is. I don't need it to be classic, but unless it's blue and red, it just doesn't do it for me.
I agree. I'm very, let me just rephrase. The black symbiote suit is my favorite Spider-Man suit of all time. That will not change, but it's just because, especially the comics where you've got that purple shading in it, it's something about it that just speaks to my dark soul. But man, the red and blue is just, it's always so good. And I love seeing different ways of interpretation. I actually just bought a book of 5-minute Marvel stories to read when I go to conventions and I read for kids, and they have a different suit on there, and it is so good looking, but it's got track lines, looks more tracksuitish. But it was just between that and this and every other red and blue suit, I just love every second of it. And I didn't hate the white suit. I mean, I love the Future Foundation vibes of that. The look at that, man. I love it. Yes, MTF. I do love the Future Foundation suit, the anti-Venom suit. I mean, just the white and black contrast is always so nice to see. But once we got that red and blue tease last week, I was like, oh, we are going to get the classic. And it just looks so good. I love the way they played with certain lines in the hips and the obliques, which really kind of makes it look a little bit more MCU-like with the Homecoming suit, but still different enough from that it feels completely original to the show.
Damon, what do you think about starting the... it wasn't the finale, it's the penultimate, but it really felt like a 2-part finale here. Yeah. Started off going classic Spidey suit. To me, that's the perfect way to get me engaged for one final act of a season.
I mean, it's one of those that have felt earned, and it's funny. I think it was last week I was saying how much I actually really like that current Future Foundation-esque suit where it's white, and although it's a very dark navy blue with the little red spiders for where the webs come out. That was a really nice little attention to detail on that suit, so I dug that. But I've mentioned this before. I am a sucker for Leo Romero art, and this entire show is literally Leo Romero art. So I'm sitting back and I'm like, when am I getting that classic suit, Leo? When am I getting it? And we got it, and it hits exactly as we needed it to. And I am really, really digging that.
Dennis, throwing it to you for your thoughts on the new suit and getting him back in his classic threads for the finale, but also I'll give it to you to transition over to Tombstone storyline, because I know you brought up Lonnie in your review, so I want to give you a chance to give your full thoughts on his arc, but also he's finally Tombstone officially with the powers and all here at the start of episode 9.
Yeah, quickly on the suit, I'm no Spidey suit expert. You're not gonna see me online going crazy about the super specifics of Spidey suits and stuff, but I did enjoy it. Like you guys said, felt very earned. Thought the timing of it was perfect. Lined up with the story very well too. So I enjoyed when he put it on. I'm like, all right, let's go time. You just feel it was like cool the way it matched up with like how he was feeling and his confidence at that time with the Norman kind of in his head, with his power speech or his power and great great respect,
Yeah. Great.
Yeah,
With great power comes great respect.
great respect speech. Yeah, love how that all lined up. So yeah, I was a fan of the way they brought that out. Good timing. And then for Tombstone, yeah, man, Lonnie's arc like it like stings a little bit because it's like we all kind of know, like it's like you lost another good brother to the like streets kind of thing, dude that had a lot of potential. You're talking about he's the star athlete, could go pro, but he loses his way to the streets, and it's not that, and it's like he couldn't really escape it because it was so tied in with his family and stuff too. So
It's heartbreaking when his
it's
brother's
hard.
like, I had nothing. That's why I was the one doing this. Like, you weren't supposed to take me out of here. You had something to lose.
Right.
I didn't. Like,
Right. And you see like how things turn every time like they like do something for him in a small way. It's like he feels like he owes them or he's gotta protect them. It is heartbreaking to see that change, but they do kind of make you feel a little bit better with the team up and everything. Like he's still kind of nice at his core. He's still a good dude at his core. And then you get the team up and it's like, all right, at least they're friends. That's what I do appreciate with this show. Like everybody's kind of friends with Peter and Spider-Man. Like they kind of rock with him. So I do like that we got that team up. That was special. But yeah, his story is almost like low-key triggering, but it works. I'm invested. So
Damon, what did you think of Tombstone's arc coming to a conclusion here, where we see, like as Dennis said, he's still a nice guy. He is not a villain by any means. He teams up, lead us into the Scorpion fight, because we get to see the two of them with powers going toe-to-toe against Scorpion. And Lonnie kind of has the Tobey Maguire moment from No Way Home here, the way he stops Peter from going too far.
Yeah, no, that was 100%. Like I love the little moments where you can almost see the MCU similarities, but not complete one-for-ones, but the moments, right? We talked about it a few episodes ago, how when Norman sent in the glider, that was very symbolic of when Tony sent in his suit to save Spider-Man. And this is very similar to the third movie, obviously, with, like you said, with Tobey telling him to stop and you need to calm down. You can't push it. You can't go too far. And I was actually a little bit worried, even last episode, the last few episodes, that maybe this Spider-Man does go too far because Norman is very clearly his mentor in here. So I'm glad that he didn't do it. But as I mentioned before, the action sequences in this show, I think, is when the animation shines. And that fight in particular did really, like, it proved to me why we went with this animation format. That, and we'll get to it, like the final swing moment. But I totally dug it. And of course, with the red and blue suit. It just made it that much sweeter.
TCR, what did you think of Lonnie's story, the gang war that Spider-Man found himself right in the middle of, and the action sequences where we get a pretty cool Spider-Man versus Scorpion versus Tombstone action sequence in this episode?
I mean, again, I loved it. That's where I was just so locked in watching that on my lunch break. It was just like, oh man, I should totally be eating and maybe answering these messages, but I'm not doing that. That's for future Thomas to worry about. The action, I mean, pretty much everybody's already said it. Like, I don't want to pair it too much and just repeat everybody. I did enjoy the team up, and we're still in episode 9, but episode 10 left me with just the tiniest smudging of hope that maybe things will be okay, but probably not. Nobody ever goes through a science experiment and then becomes, usually goes good on the other side, especially when you're destined to be Tombstone. Going to be interesting to see how it works. The 2-on-1 handicap match was awesome. What I enjoyed is you really felt like Peter could not beat Mac by himself without going too far, and then you also felt like Lonnie didn't really want to at the same time. Like, I feel like if Lonnie had gone in, he probably would have killed him. Because like he says, you know, people look up to you, Spider-Man. Like, you can't do that. You can't dip into the dark side. It's kind of the vibe of Iron Man. You know, people look at him as a hero, but then you go out of America and everyone's like, Tony Stark, he blew up my family. Beep, bop, boop. So you got to avoid going too far down that road. And the ending, like post-fight. I mean, actually, it wasn't pre-fight. It was during the beginning of the fight when Nico was like all in danger. I was like, oh no, Raven's in trouble. And you know, she got saved. There was something in there too that I'm like now not remembering the conversation that they had, but it was something like, I was mad that you didn't tell me, but now I totally understand because I was worried about doing homework and you were busy doing homework after you've already saved a bunch of people. And I was like, they actually like made up in a very mature way that you don't often see in Spider-Man. Even dating back to the 90s, it's usually a lot more dramatic. And she's just like, no, I totally get it. My bad, man.
That's why it's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
I agree. And it's like earlier on in the season, it did feel like a little bit just kind of classic Spidey in the way that I almost don't like. There just needs to be some drama with a woman in his life. And so we're going to have him not tell her a secret, but he's telling Harry and working with him. She gets mad at him. And it's like, do we need that here right now? But like you said, TTR, they resolved the matter in a very mature way. And Damon, by the end of episode 9 here, Nico and Peter and Harry are all back on the same page, and we got a nice little trio.
Yeah, I really like this trio. I mean, look, I'm a fan of Nico Minoru, and I like this version of Harry Osborn. I think he's pretty interesting to be like a modern day version of what the rich kid would be. Very clearly a social media influencer type. So I dig this trio. I do. I think they're a lot of fun, and look, whenever you throw Nico in anything, I'm all here for it. And it just kind of bounce off of something MTF said, like, did Nico use her ammo to teleport Peter in? Obviously, like, we start getting little teases and hints throughout the season and throughout the show on whether Nico is actually going to become Nico Minoru. And this was one of those moments, and I feel like as of right now, it's more of like a luck-based power. I don't think it's anything crazy because she held it when she was in the car, and it clearly kind of gave her some sort of like lucky advantage. And then here she held it, and it just kind of luckily brought Peter in at the right moment. So I feel like it's just like a little bit of luckness there.
I don't know if it's necessarily luck as much as it is like thought manifestation of like she needed help driving the car, and so it helped her drive the car, and she wanted Peter there, and so it brought in Peter. Like that's kind of the way I'm viewing it.
Hopefully she never needs Peter again, or else that spell's never going to work.
True, very true. But we'll see if they do the one and done aspect of her powers and see how way she needs her staff for that. She needs her staff before we get there. Dennis, what did you think about Nico Minoru's arc throughout the season? And then feel free to lead us into the end of this episode where we find, as we all know, Norman Osborn can't be trusted, but he's trying to replicate himself some Spidey DNA.
Yeah, so I don't know too much about Nico. I just knew she was from Runaways, so you're gonna have to educate me on that, Damon. But I do like the tease of her powers, and I think I was watching you guys last week. I remember TJ, I believe you said you don't like the whole Nico Harry storyline kind of thing. I loved it, man.
I like them together. I just didn't like the Nico Peter storyline going on of like, screw you, I'm so mad at you, and he's like, I fucked up, but like, I feel that. To me that felt just like a little forced of like, we needed some tension with a woman, and so let's have him fight Nico. But the Nico Harry stuff I thought was pretty fun.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel that. If it would have lasted like another episode, then I'd be like, all right, this is too much. But yeah, man, I dig her. I really dig her and Harry together, like that episode, that time that they had together, I was like, kind of made my heart tingle a little bit. I'm like, I like this a lot. And I like that they both are so different but also similar in the way that they both feel alone, kind of, in a way, or isolated maybe. I do like that about them, and I think it just makes their trio unique. That I guess, I don't know, Peter bringing them together is pretty cool. But yeah, the thing at the end of what was it? Him making the spider, right? So yeah, I mean, it's like Norman. I wanted him to be like such a good guy, like low key, like wanted him to be kind of good, because he already likes Peter and Peter as Spider-Man. So I'm like, that's cool, but like, can we get maybe a good Norman? But obviously not. Can't do that. Can't take away from who he is, what he is, and a genetically enhanced spider. Of course, he's doing that. So I tell you, at one point during the last episode, I thought, I know we're gonna get to it, but I was like, I thought it was like some Miles, kind of thing there. Before they took a different route, but I was like, I thought it was some Miles stuff when I saw the spider out and about. I was like, oh shit. I'm over here looking for a black character, like, oh shit.
Where is he? Where is he?
But, yeah, I do like the setup so far.
Damon, it's going to be such an interesting wrinkle in this story where we already have Norman as Peter's mentor. Like Dennis said, he knows who he is already. That's going to make it for it to be a very interesting wrinkle when he goes goblin mode.
Oh, sure. If only there was a spell to make somebody forget who somebody is, TJ. If only Spider-Man knew a guy that can help him with that.
Is that a theory?
That'd be hilarious if they go that route in season 2 and we get a little No Way Home episode.
No more days.
Oh God.
Let's go into episode 10, the season finale, because this Norman trying to replicate Peter's DNA does really go right into episode 10. And that spider goes into the other universe. Damon, we got a time loop. Now, you said, we talked about this off camera, you said this one didn't bother you as much. But I know you're not a time travel guy.
No.
But to me, I got very similar vibes with this of that they sent the spider back in time, and that's the spider that bit Peter, just creating this loop situation. Gave me big Ms. Marvel vibes, where technically, if you're telling a multiversal story, time loop shouldn't make sense. That shouldn't get there. But unless you do it where each time it happens, it's just creating another.
No, I have a full retcon to this, TJ. You ready? This is how I'm coping with this decision in my brain. This is how I'm coping with it. Timestone time travel just is wonky. It just is. You can reverse an apple from being eaten. You can reverse a venomized alien symbiote thing from just walking backwards. And you can create a time loop. Why? Because it's the time stone. It's the one thing that breaks all of the rules. I will allow it.
All right. I'm fine with
creating a portal.
And, especially considering, from comics, if you want to go at it that route, that Infinity Stones only work in their own universe. They don't work for other universes. It would make sense.
That's also.
It would make sense. It would have to enclose it into one universe and not create. Okay, I'm buying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. TCR, what did you think of the time loop situation we get here at the beginning of episode 10? And what did you think of the storytelling style? It all comes together. They're building their own Bifrost Bridge. No one knows about it. We get the Strange and Venom from the beginning, and it all circles back together.
Well, I love a good Einstein Rosen preach. Jane, my girl, she stabbed a pencil through a paper and explained it to me in the same way that I explained that all science that you can't understand is just simply magic and vice versa. I didn't actually... At the end of episode 9, I'm like, that spider kind of looks like the spider that bit Peter, but I was immediately going, oh my gosh, That's going to be Miguel O'Hara. That's 100% the skull on the chest energy, the lines dripping down to the arms, which would be the. Oh, I was like, holy crap, we're getting Miguel. Didn't see that coming. Just like Quicksilver. And then we get to the fight, and he's talking, and that's the guy who was at the thing. Oh, you did that Midtown High. I've never been to Midtown High. Makes a great 21 Jump Street joke. Love it. And I'm like, I wonder if he hasn't been there because it hasn't happened yet. And then as soon as the Venom dude pops through, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to do it. This is why. He's not yet lived that moment, whereas Peter has lived that moment, and we're going to create a nice, fantastic little Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. time loop here. And I was like, oh my gosh, he was involved directly in the creation of himself, which I wish, honestly, I could remember what show I'm thinking of that happens, but it doesn't matter. Oh, wait, JK, it's Flash. Ha joke's on me. Because of he's fighting Thrawn, and Thrawn. It is Thrawn, right? Eobard Thrawn? Eobard Thrawn.
Thrawn. The Star Wars is always on the brain with TCR.
Hey, it's my favorite blue boy. My favorite blue boy and my favorite villain speedster. Maybe my favorite speedster. We'll find out. And I absolutely just
Wally West like that.
Listen,
Continue.
I just want to be the bad guy, all right? Blonde hair, blue eyes, yellow suit. Let's do it. Call me James. But I really did not expect them to just recreate the entire fight from episode 1. So A, saving money, amazing budget move. B, I always thought it was weird. It's like, Midtown, we're not supposed to be here, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, is he from a different universe or is he from this universe? And now I'm like, oh, he's from time. Like, he's from the same universe, future time. Absolutely love the time loop, how they integrated it, the storytelling of it all. The Bifrost situation, brilliant. I mean, totally. Everybody in that room except for Cho and Osborn and the evil little leprechaun-looking dude, Professor Leprechaun. Professor Leprechaun or whatever his name is. They were just. Everyone else is like, this is a terrible idea. We should not do that. And they're just like, evil. We're opening it up. Thoroughly enjoyed the action of these fights. Were great. The stakes, the backing up, but I love the moment when it's like specifically, it's like, oh no, he's like, switch up, yeah, and they just change what they're doing. One goes to fighting him. What just a great mechanism, I guess is the word I can't think of, for telling that story and getting us to the creation of Peter, Volume 2.
Dennis, what do you think of the twist and turn to his origin and utilizing the time loop? Do you care about time travel, or were you just like, this is cool and I'm enjoying the show?
Yeah, I welcome time travel. It's a mind F. So it was very that for me, and I like when people try to do different iterations of it, different ways you can go about it. This one was interesting, just using straight up Doctor Strange time stone stuff. But first and foremost, I'm a big Strange guy anyway, so I love that he came back. I do think it's interesting that they don't know about him. So I guess because my first thought was also he's from a different universe, of course, but he made it seem like he was always been there, but they still don't really know about him. So I was like, does he not show himself or anything? Or I don't know what he does there, but yeah, I enjoyed it. It took a second to, I think I caught it a little bit later than TCR. Probably as soon as he fell through the portal, I was like, oh, okay, we're here. We're at the high school. They're doing that. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It took me a second to just like really think about it and put the pieces together of like, yeah, him creating himself is such a weird thing to think about, of like this enhanced spider that was created from him being put back in the past to create him is just such a weird thing to say, but it works out for me. Hopefully, maybe there's consequences to it, so we'll see what happens.
TCR, you said your favorite Spider-Man suit is the black symbiote suit, and after the fight, which again, if anyone wants to talk about we've talked about the action and the animation is really cool. So if anyone has a specific point that they want to elaborate and expand on, feel free to. But the fight was really cool. We get Doctor Strange, we get the Venomized alien. After the fact, though, we get some of that symbiote left over in their universe, and it's in the hands of Norman Osborn.
Yes, it's left around in a much better way than No Way Home did it, but we'll allow it. And I think MTF mentioned it earlier, something about Norman Osborn, Green Goblin symbiote. It's gonna be crazy. Yeah, they're just really playing on the realm of Spider-Man 2 from Insomniac, and I mean, hey man, maybe Harry gets sick next season. We don't know what could happen. So it'll be really interesting to see how all of that unfolds. And like, yeah, as soon as episode 1 showed up, I'm like, oh my God, it's a symbiote. That's super sick. Okay, I like that. Let's go. And then he was gone. And I was like, okay, so what was that about? Comes back this episode, and I'm like, oh, it's happening. He's not necessarily the King in Black, but I mean, he's one step away from being the King in Black, which will be exciting if we get an animated version of that before a live action version. Asterisk Sony dead to me. Doesn't matter. Don't care. Don't watch it.
Still haven't seen Venom 3.
I haven't either. I haven't seen anything since Venom 2. I boycotted them.
Me too. I haven't seen anything since Venom 2.
Yeah. I was just like, nah, I can't do this, man. They ruined what could have been a really good movie by just making you pray for the frickin' post-credit scene. MTF, shout out Pimp in Black. Yeah. All right. It's a pimp in black, right?
What was that Venomized thing? Why did he have the fur? Why did he have like the hooves? What was this little alien Venom thing that was going on?
It reminds me of a bumblebee without the wings, but also taller and humanoid. Because he's got
Why
that
would
weird
it remind you of that?
Have you ever seen a bumblebee? They look furry. Like they got the head, and then they've got that first line of.
They're kind of like round though.
Yeah, like I said, humanoid. Okay, like, I asterisked myself.
Damon, how do you think the symbiote story is gonna go? Who's gonna be the first Venom we get in season 2? Is it gonna be a Harry? Is it gonna be a Goblin Venom? Is it gonna be Peter with the suit? Or is it gonna be Eddie?
It could be Nico and Minoru for all we know with this show. They can go and have gone whatever direction they want, and that is totally fine, especially because this is like the first of like 8 post-credit scenes that they threw in us within this episode. So it's like they can literally do whatever they want. The only thing I want to talk about, just mention, because my brain is so cooked on Marvel Rivals. When Strange is thrown in front of that portal and he puts up his shield in front of the portal, I'm literally looking at that. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that looks like an interesting strat, Strange.
That's my
You should have just portaled and then portaled onto itself, and that way it just wouldn't work. Come on.
We gotta start getting a like Marvel Rivals specific podcast episode every week, so we can just devote all of our time, get it all out in that one, and not have to worry about it for these ones. Because I'm with you, it's taken over my mind as well. Let's go through these big, massive string of post-credit scenes we get halfway through the episode, all the way until the end. I'm just gonna throw out what happened, and if somebody has something, dive in, throw up your hand, go into it, whatever you want. And if you want to just leave it, feel free to just leave it, and I'll say something and go on to the next one, because there are so many of these. We could do an hour podcast just on these little post-credit scenes and what they mean. First up, we get the Watcher. The Watcher makes a brief little cameo from obviously the exact same look as What If. We've kind of talked about how this is essentially a What If Spider-Man story. What if Norman Osborn was Peter Parker's mentor instead of Tony Stark, just strung out?
What if Norman Osborn just existed in the MCU?
Exactly. And so it was cool to see the Watcher hanging out. We also get the next one that I thought was very fun because I had no idea who Jean Foucault was going into this season.
Mm-hmm.
Damon, not only is she a character you have in a book that you're looking for right now, Finesse, but she's hanging out with Daredevil. And so in this universe, Daredevil's got himself a little protege, and it's Finesse.
Oh my god, I hope they don't blind spot this girl. Oh lordy, I hope they don't blind spot this girl because
Give us
at
context.
one
What
point
does that mean?
Yeah.
blind
what does that
spot
mean?
was a protege of Daredevil, who was his apprentice.
Sounds like
And
they died.
I have bad news for him, for all of you, about him, because he went up against Muse, who I'm sure we will all see in the
Oh,
Daredevil Born Again show. And blind spot, his name becomes very ironic because Muse literally blinds him.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, full eyes, fingers in the eyes style. Do you want me to say who Jean Foucault is? Should I say that?
Yeah, I think we can dive into that now because we kind of
Okay.
saved it at the beginning of it. But she
I
is not only is she Daredevil's protege, she is a very interesting legacy character.
She is a very interesting legacy character. They specifically said, I think, Long Island in this show, or maybe the Bronx. I can't remember where they said she was from. She is Taskmaster's kid.
Oh! Okay. All right.
Aqua
Okay.
Taco there. Yeah.
Interesting.
That's why her last name sounded familiar to me.
So how does she and Daredevil like meet? Like how does that?
I don't
come
know.
to be?
That's a new thing for the
that's a new
show.
thing. Okay.
So, but I'm a little worried about her because Daredevil has a bad history with proteges.
Daredevil has a bad history with anybody close to him. Anybody close to Daredevil typically means bad news for you. Not directly for you, for at least people in your vicinity. You're gonna be.
And then, by the way, if you want more Jean Foucault, I was holding up Avengers Academy.
Her origin, and you can check out Jean Foucault. Not necessarily her origin, but her debut in Avengers Academy. We got Doc Ock making some evil plans in jail. He maybe got some little Sinister Six setting up going on for the future. Obviously, Doc Ock is going to be a major player. But the next one that I thought was really cool was Nico's idea for Harry to start his own new company. Yeah. Let's let these brilliant geniuses, without any oversight, just build what they want to build. And let's see what happens. Let's see what good the world what good they bring the world. I'm sure nothing is going to go wrong.
No, not even if there is.
Well, the company on itself isn't very exciting necessarily.
Yes, it is. It is a Disneyland reference, good sir.
Okay, the Disneyland reference, very exciting.
Worldwide.
The most exciting part is we get to see his board of names.
Yes.
Dennis, I'll throw it to you first. When did you hit the pause button and go through this board? And see if there's any names you recognize?
I went back and didn't recognize not one. Well, I don't know. I didn't know these names, but I went back and tried to put on my glasses, and was like, I recognize maybe like two names, and those are the ones I already know from the show. So that was about it. So yeah, if you have any idea, I'm sure you guys do, let me know who some of those names were on that board.
TCR?
Yeah, I recognize Matt Dillon right off the top. Hopefully I said
Dillon.
Max and not Matt because I already forgot
Too
what I
much
said.
Matt Murdock talk.
Yeah, he is right above Jean Foucault. Words are hard, man. Max Dillon, I recognize Ned Leeds. Tony Sandoval, but I think he worked on the show. I just remember the name Sandoval is a very unique last name. Tiberius Stone. I don't know if my brain went James Tiberius Kirk, but Tiberius Stone, like Stone. I can hear Tombstone saying that about somebody, and I don't remember what that is from. I saw online Ripley Ryan is a name, and it stood out to me because I'm dyslexic, and I thought it said Rhea Ripley. Shout out my my wrestling fans out there. Yeah. But of course we had Cho on there. Imi Choi also was one that I was like, wait, why do I know that name?
An artist.
Sound familiar.
There's
There
quite
you
a few like artists and people who worked on the show on that list.
That makes sense.
There's a couple
Part of the
others,
company.
like Ty Miranda's like a Pym Labs type of like laboratory assistant. Priya Agarwal is like another Pym. There's quite a few like Pym Labs kind of like name thrown scattered. But to go off of what MTF was saying with Ned being on that, I have a feeling if they do introduce Ned Leeds into this universe, absolutely becoming Hobgoblin. Like 100%.
Isn't Hobgoblin wasn't it Hobgoblin before Green Goblin? Like
Yes.
chronologically, that's what I thought. So
At least in the cartoon. I don't know who appeared.
yeah,
first
I thought it was in the
comic,
comics too, but I can't
But
remember.
in the cartoon, Hobgoblin goes first, and then it's like, I'm the real Goblin, the Green Goblin, and he steps in there, and so he's after the fact. But
yeah,
I
got
can't
it all
help but
confused
wonder.
for
Wait,
you.
is Rip?
What's up? Ripley
So
Ryan?
Ripley
Yeah, I'm
Ryan
asking in
is
chat if Ripley
Star.
Ryan is a character named Star. I don't know Star.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, according
Damon,
to
what
this
do you-
Screen Rant
what do you-
article.
Take us through what's going through your mind right now. You're so
I
excited.
love Star.
Star
I
Tools.
love Star. Star is the living embodiment of the Reality Stone.
Wow.
So in the Marvel comics, there's this whole like Infinity Gauntlet thing going on, but then there was like the Infinite Destinies, and like the Reality Stones broke, but then they formed into several people. Like the stones themselves formed into people, and these people got powers. And one of them was Ripley Starr, who is created in a Captain Marvel book, Kelly Thompson's Captain Marvel book. And she goes essentially like she was a former journalist who kind of goes like head to head with Captain Marvel and eventually the Scarlet Witch, and Wanda essentially is like, girl, back off, I'm the original type of thing. Incredible character because she like gets like the whole power of the Reality Stone, and it warps her completely, warps her brain. So she's almost like she's the most twisted out of all of them. God, I saw Ripley Ryan and it didn't click with me. Oh man, that's embarrassing on my part.
You know who
So-
else is the living embodiment of the Reality Stone? Rhea Ripley. Mommy's on top. Who is Kaiden Nixon? Damon, because I see it on this Screen Rant article. It's like, it's in the Marvel Universe. And I'm like, that's the one I don't know. Like, at all. It doesn't even sound familiar.
My
it
biggest
Nixon's kid?
takeaway from this, as Damon looks it up, is that
Oh,
Webb.
an NYX mutant.
Oh,
See, that's
new character.
well. Whenever I get into mutant, 2003.
Oh, never mind.
Whenever we start getting into mutants, I'm very hit or miss with that.
Ooh, time acceleration is her power.
Interesting.
What
mind if
this
I
is
do.
kind of telling me is that Webb is going to be a source of rogue gallery for Peter coming up. Like, this is going to be, they're going in this with great intentions, but there's a lot of names on there that turn out to either be villains in the comics or characters that could develop into that, with whether it's Ned becomes the Hobgoblin, whether Max Dillon becomes Electro in season 2. I feel like there's a lot of potential bad guys for Peter to be going up against that could potentially be created in his best friend's facility that he's probably at as well. And so I think we're going to get a lot of sort of spectacular Spider-Man sort of type stories where it's like, hey, this is a peer of Peter's, they're friends, they get along. Oh no, this terrible thing happened. Now they're a bad guy. And Peter and Spider-Man's going to have to go head to head with them to save the day.
He might
Anything
fight
else?
alongside some of them too, though.
Maybe fight alongside some of them.
It's different.
Anything else on Harry's new company or the names before we move on?
Shout out Disneyland.
Shout out Disneyland.
One day I'll go there when, I go.
God, what a
wait,
great
that's
way to
the
get
other
more
side
merch
of
sold
the
there.
Yeah.
Next one I want to talk about, and TCR or Dennis, feel free if you have any thoughts on the tease. But Nico Minoru, Damon, we get some insight onto where the hell her parents are. We get some insight into her history, and she is full on starting the process to become her magical old self.
Yeah. Seems like her parents may or may not be alive. We don't know for sure yet, but she's clearly run away from them. I assume they're dead, and maybe she doesn't realize that they were evil. This could be a very interesting twist and a take on Nico Minoru and her whole story. So the whole thing is, that's runaway. She found out that her parents were evil, ran away. Became part of a superhero team. Very tragic stories all involved in there, but she's a really cool magic user who has a very big staff, and the whole bit is she can only use one spell once. Once she uses it,
It's gone forever.
It's gone forever.
Whoa.
She needs to learn every spell. She's like free
Pretty
reign.
simple as take me to the store. Let's go to the store. I want to go to the store. As long as it's a little bit different, right? Otherwise it's not going to work. And so I think that's such a really cool power set. MTF asking in chat, over under 1.5 Runaways characters outside of Nico Minoru in season 2 of Spidey. Are we going to get anybody else in that team?
I don't think so. I say under, more or less, because I'm manifesting more Agents of Atlas characters.
I like it. Let's get Wave. Let's get Pearl Pang and turn it into Wave.
Arrow too. Give me all of them.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. The last one, people have pondered. Who is Spectacular Spider-Man himself? I think the man who has voiced the most Marvel characters, or have not voiced the most Marvel characters, the most big ones, he's the only one to voice Spider-Man, Captain America, and Iron Man, as Josh Keaton. And he played none other than Richard Parker, Peter's dad, who's supposed to be dead. He ain't dead. He's around.
Yeah. My friend hated it. He hated it. My friend can't get past that. Jalen, he's gonna be on with you guys. He's so tied to the comics. He's like, ooh, that took him out of it for him. That he thinks that they just kind of pulled that out of their ass. I'm like, man, there's no rules here in this what if Spider-Man friendly neighborhood Spider-Man show. So for me, I'm like, give me all that. But I know for some that might have been like ooh, that's too much.
TCR, Richard Parker's origin is always different depending on where you look. In our OG show, he was a spy, a double agent, a triple agent that his country thought he was a spy for Russia until they realized that no, he was actually keeping USA secrets throughout the Cold War. In Amazing Spider-Man, he's a scientist and he creates all these things that led to Peter where he is.
And faked his death. Don't forget about that part.
Yeah.
And now he's out here alive and hanging out and just in jail, I guess. What do you think is going on with Richard Parker? What were your thoughts when you saw that?
A looks like Peter Parker from the 90s Spider-Man show. Amazing. Just beautiful. Thank you. It put a big smile on my face. And did not realize it was voiced by Josh Keaton, but immediately I'm like, what did he do to get in jail? Is he a bad guy, or did he do like a cool crime and steal from
like
the
Scott
wrong
Lang.
people, like Scott Lang? But he's yet to take his exit punch. It's
Season
kind
2,
of teed up.
Richard Parker will be working at
Baskin Robbins. They always
Baskin
find out.
Robbins, thank you.
I didn't recognize. I did notice the picture he slides down. There's a really young Peter. I say really young, like maybe 4 to 5 years ago at best. And there's Richard, and I can't tell if that's supposed to be. It's a very short female. If that's supposed to be Peter's mom. If it's supposed to be, because it moved fast and I didn't pause. If that's supposed to be I don't know, something weird like his sister, Peter's sister, something crazy that
was
trying
definitely
to do.
his mom.
Okay. Did he kill his mom? Or did he get framed to kill his mom?
Bringing it back to the Flash again.
Yeah, there it is. I was like, hold on, is that Flash? I feel like he might have actually done something, and if they lean the spy route, he could have been arrested for espionage and framed to kill his wife, even though he technically didn't, but there's not enough evidence in any way, shape, or form to do that, or bum bum bum, did he work for Norman Osborn? And Norman crossed him and killed Mama Parker, only to throw in Peter. Wait, no, his name is what? Richard Franklin Parker the first, to be the scapegoat for corporate espionage, even though really he was just trying to leak stuff to the public, more like a whistleblower. That was 30 seconds of me, spitballing. I don't know.
I like it. I think the idea of Richard Parker being framed by Norman Osborn is a really interesting potential theory. I have no basis, no background, no precedent for this to be true. I'm just going to throw a random shot in the dark.
Okay.
Richard Parker will become Carnage in your friendly neighborhood.
No.
Interesting.
No.
Damon, every Richard Parker idea we've thrown out so far, you've poo-pooed, you've shit on it. You said
the
no.
only one I'm okay with is this just if he's just a regular dude who just got thrown into jail. The only Daddy and Mama Parker stories that I am fine with is if they were just people. Please, people. Like, they don't always have to be somebody or have this crazy thing. If this man turns into Venom,
he's gonna have one because
season,
he's alive and he's in jail.
If
They're
this man
not
turns
gonna
into
have him be
Venom
nobody.
next season,
I don't
need it. I don't like no.
This is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. They're getting crazy.
Ooh, wait a minute. What
There's
if
no rules?
No, there are no rules, which means we could totally get that canon event, but instead of Uncle Ben dying,
Uncle Ben already died though.
It's Daddy Dick dying.
Yeah,
He
Ben is
got
already
the
gonna
great
happen.
power
I mean,
speech.
Yeah.
He's already.
He already got his great power speech.
He got a great power speech
What
that
if he
was
gets
laced
the new
with
one
villainy.
from Richard?
Yeah.
Either way, like, look, on paper, if someone told me that Richard Parker was still alive in this show, I would have been like, are you kidding me? Them revealing that he's just in jail, I'm like, I'm still here. I'm still intrigued. Just please, God, don't make this man another super spy. I do not need that in my life.
I think they could really play off that.
Captain America. He was part of the Howling Commandos.
That is
He's
just like
95.
That is just one of the many things, with
And
all
he's
the
got the
respect
serum.
to Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. One of the many things with those Amazing Spider-Man movies I vividly and actively do not like, and that was one of them.
Hey man, that deleted scene was amazing. He comes back inexplicably. Hey Peter, I don't remember what his voice sounded like. My favorite thing of everything I was saying is like he's just arrested for corporate espionage, which is really just that's what he's blamed with. But he was trying to be a whistleblower and give information because he found Osborn was doing something horrible, and stuff happens when you're not rich.
Is he going to be a regular guy who did nothing and he's just in jail for no given reason like Damon wants? Or will he be
No given. I mean, hopefully it's for a reason.
who is framed for the death of his wife and he eventually turns into Carnage, Peter's most fearsome villain? But Peter doesn't want to fight him because it's his dad, and his dad was framed, and Osborn is the entire reason why he was there to begin with. Sounds like a real Peter
I think Damon's leaving.
Sounds like a real real Spidey story to me. MTF in chat saying he could be his version of Uncle Aaron and be an Iron Spider suit prowler type character. The possibilities are endless in a multiverse with limitless possibilities. Yeah. Damon, final thoughts on your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man season 1. Any theories for season 2? Last thoughts before we get out of here.
I loved this show. I really loved this show. I am a little worried that this finale made things go a little bonkers because the rest of the show was so incredibly grounded, and I dug that. The fact that we really got to see like the quote-unquote Marvel studio, well, the Marvel studio, the quote-unquote MCU Scorpion, like what would have come up with that. We got to see Tombstone and a little bit of like the grayness in his skin, it appears, is either starting to come out. I don't know if that's like from the from how he got his powers, or it was just like some ash or chalk from somewhere.
No,
But
he's
like we're
turning
starting we're starting to see like that aspect of Tombstone come out, and I thought that was really, really cool. I love the grounded nature of this show. What I want more out of season 2, first of all, I want to start to see some elements of Wave. I want to see a little bit that we already have Oscorp experimenting on animals. I would like to see them maybe, hopefully, not terribly experiment on people, and then she becomes like this hydrokinetic waterbender. That would be cool. And I would also expect maybe some lizard action next season. They teased that a couple times. And I would love to see Richard Parker stay in jail and not escape and become any major supervillain.
Why show him?
I am just so happy they have already announced the season 2 and 3, and I just hope that these are already being fast-tracked and sped up so we can get at least a season a year of this show, because I agree with Braden in chat, like, need more episodes since there's so many villains teased. Like, this feels like a 90s animated Spider-Man type show where it's just like, I want a new episode every week forever. You know what I mean? Like, I need this show to just keep on going.
My biggest compliment, my last thing I will say about this show is, out of anything Marvel Studios has made since any Avengers movie, this show has made this whole universe felt the most lived in. They took proper advantage of being animated so you can bring in anyone. We got an Iron Man cameo. We saw Captain America in pictures, although we didn't actually see him on the screen, like walking, talking. We got to see glimpses of him. They talked about Civil War, and we got to see Doctor Strange not once but twice. We got to see Daredevil in this show, and I would expect also maybe to see Kingpin. Maybe his dad was in cahoots with Kingpin. That I would like a lot more than the man becoming Carnage. TJ,
it can be both.
Okay, no, don't relax. Get him involved with Kingpin. Very similar to how, oh my god, very similar to how Kate Bishop's mom got involved with Kingpin, and then you can bring her involved into next season, because I always got to find a way to get my girl on the show.
Kate Bishop is guy, bro.
Or very similar to how certain iterations of Daredevil have had it as well, where Battling Jack Murdoch was getting involved with Kingpin, and that's who ultimately he was throwing his fights to. It could be a very similar story for Richard Parker, and we didn't get Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin in season 1, despite reports that we would.
Well, that's because not just reports, when they announced this show and they showed off like the concept art, Kingpin was in there, and they specifically said Vincent D'Onofrio would voice him.
And so pushed back for season 2. We'll see if it's related to Richard. We'll see if Kingpin is the one who starts up his own sinister Insidious 6 alongside Doc Ock and the crew. Dennis, what are your hopes for season 2? Final thoughts on season 1?
I guess final thoughts. Again, I loved it. I'm obsessed with these storylines that they got going. And they got a lot of villains set up. I'm okay with some of them just staying kind of regular, like grounded, like Damon's been saying. I don't need them to all be like spectacular and crazy and all that, but like if they're just like the name of some people, that's fine too. But yeah, man, I love this season. I just like what they were able to accomplish with the animation. And I'm one of the day one, like I like this animation ever since it dropped. I was never like, ooh, I don't care for that animation. I loved it ever since they showed it. And there was one part, it's just another random thing. There was one part that I forget which episode, when Scorpion gets into the base of our gang and he impales a dude. And like that was so brutal. Like I was not ready to see that. But he impales a dude. And like literally they just don't even talk about it again. I feel like they could have been like, for our guy that died, like he literally died, I'm sure. Because because his body went limp on screen. It was brutal.
It's
they never bring him
TR
up.
was talking, you were talking about how a lot of the themes in the 90s Spider-Man were a lot darker. But I find it very funny how, in the 90s, they still need to do pew-pew guns. Because they couldn't do bullets.
Lasers.
They have to be lasers.
Yeah.
But for this one, it's like, even though the themes maybe weren't as dark, it was still like full-on impalement. And like you said, like that just went limp. Like it was...
Yeah.
Well, you needed that moment though,
It
because if you
was.
didn't have that, then that moment with Lonnie wouldn't have hit as hard, because they even made the noise. You're like, oh, he got to. So it made that reveal work just a little bit more than it would have.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, yep. Last thing I'll say is I love that the villains of the Spider-Man lore are like some of the ones giving Piers like motivation. They're like giving him the motivation and making him just kind of not making the decisions for him, but like a big reason why he does what he does is some of the villains that we're used to seeing, which is interesting to me, and so I'm having a lot of fun with the show. So yep.
In season 2, I really hope for more Daredevil. My Spidey and Daredevil are just among my 2 favorite characters to team up together. They're just such a fun contrast, both in like action fighting styles and personalities. And so a best case scenario for me would be in season 2 if we get not only Spider-Man and Daredevil teaming up, but also some Matt Murdock as a lawyer. So whether that be involving with Richard Parker and he's in jail and he was framed, and so Matt Murdock is going to be his lawyer, or maybe we get a storyline like the animated series where Peter Parker gets framed for something and Matt's his lawyer as Spider-Man and Daredevil team up to clear his name. That's my favorite type of storyline. I hope we get something like that. TCR, final thoughts, hopes for season 2.
Again, 10 out of 10. Like, there are certain things I probably could have liked more, but I think the execution of season 1 is as perfect as you can get. And hope for season 2. Lizard for sure. Rhino. I want to see Max Dillon immediately become an insane Electro. Whether it's a he or a she, Max is pretty ambiguous of a name. I don't mind either way. Be sweet. I love electric powered dudes and dudettes. I don't know. Maybe it's the Flash. Maybe it's the Thor. Maybe it's the Thunderbolt. Not Ross. I meant Thunderbolt. What's his name? Zeus. Listen, baby kick. I'm talking about Zeus. Yeah, I didn't realize that Mikhail Sistovich was Rhino. I was just like, wow, this guy seems kind of nice. Like, he's helping out Spidey take down his own sister. Interesting. And I'm scrolling down here and I'm like, oh, dude, he's Rhino. I should learn the real names. Chameleon made a pop up.
Yep.
Which was pretty exciting. Always a fan of that. Apparently there's another Scorpion, Carmilla Black.
They're both. So his top girl is another Scorpion. Like, she's also Scorpion.
Dude, Scorpion Squad, let's go. I want that. I want to see them Scorpion it up, man. That's kind of the ones I'm really excited for. And of course, I want to see Kingpin. They did announce him. They also announced White Rabbit, who never showed up. As far as I'm aware,
was going to be in this show.
Yeah, it
That's
says
wild.
Lorena Dodson, aka White Rabbit, yet to appear but confirmed. Was confirmed as part of the show's cast. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how it goes. I loved it. I love Spider-Man. This every time I'm like, Thor's my favorite MCU character, and then I watch something Spider-Man and I'm like, oh, okay, golly, it's Spider-Man. And then I take time away and I'm like, yeah, it's Thor, and then I see something and I'm like, it's Spider-Man. All right, whip, kids.
We love Spider-Man. Smash that like button if you love Spider-Man 2, and just because it helps us out. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, help us build this community, and make sure you don't miss out on the great shows we have coming up. We're going to be talking Invincible on Thursday, Severance on Friday, and on Saturday you'll be able to well, no, you won't be able to find them that quick, but I'll be interviewing the showrunner and executive producers for Daredevil Born Again. Those interviews will be dropping next week. And of course, we will be live after every episode of Daredevil, breaking it down with some of your favorite guests throughout the industry. Damon, what's coming up this weekend on Comic Corner?
Ultimate Wolverine is right behind me, and number 2 is right behind me, and I will be reading that the second we are done recording. I'm really excited for that. Also, Ultimate Black Panther is out this week, and I've heard nothing but good things about the start of this new arc, so I'm very excited for that as well. Also, Nightwing new issue, and as well as this absolutely wild Spider Gwen / Gwenpool / Gwen Stacy / Weird Wolverine power reveal that I'm going to be absolutely losing my mind on Saturday about. They also revealed that for a giant-sized anniversary X-Men fun shenanigans, they're going to send Kamala Khan back in time to every single major mutant mishap event, and we're gonna retcon her and all those, because why not?
Interesting choices being made. Damon, Fat Thor, AF are going to be breaking it down. Like I said, we'll be live on Thursday talking Invincible, myself, Fat Thor, as well as Sean from Metalcore Nerds and Jam from the Alternate Timeline. And Dennis, where can the people find the Alternate Timeline? Where can they find you on socials? Do you have any fun stuff coming up?
Yeah, man, the Alternate Timeline on YouTube, on social is at the Alt Time. And sorry, I live right next to a train track, because that's probably what you hear in the background. But at the Alt Time on IG and Twitter /X. Things coming up. I know we're gonna try to record our takes on Captain America: Brave New World very soon, within the next couple of days, and then the next episode of Solo Leveling, we'll be reacting to that. So that's what you can find on the channel, and that's about it. Other than that, playing some Marvel Rivals. Which I have your stuff, TJ, so I'm gonna add you soon.
Good. I just keep bouncing back and forth from Platinum 1 and 2. I'm trying so hard to get up to Diamond, and I just can't
It's hard.
Get it. TCR, where can people find you on socials? We got a little hiatus on Star Wars right now until Andor after Daredevil. Are you guys still recording quads for the Reckless Rebellion? Where can people find it?
Yes, you can find me on all socials at TC Rochester Act. TCROCHESTERACT. The Rebellion, we're I was gonna say 365 days. We're not. We are 52 weeks a year, baby. We are always doing things. Last week we did. What was last week? Was last week the auction draft? Nah, that was the week before. We've done a lot in the last couple of weeks while I've been traveling, so my brain is kind of lost. Last week we did 2025 predictions for Star Wars as we get, within just 2 months away from Star Wars Celebration over in Japan. We have 4 episodes to record before we start our Andor Season 1 rewatch. We'll be reviewing in arc, so we'll watch the first 3 episodes, then we'll watch the next 4 episodes, then we'll watch the next 3, and then the last 2 leading up to our Andor primer, and then leading dead on into Andor. Also, shout out Daredevil and Andor finale premiering the same day. I don't even know what to do with my brain, Sorry, Daredevil, you're gonna be backlogged at this moment. Andor comes first. We are recording all of that fun stuff. So over the next 4 weeks, we're gonna have some stuff. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to bring Star Wars Jeopardy back. It's been a big hit. The fans have spoken. Queel has spoken, and you can find all of us. You can find us on social medias at Reckless Rebels, RECKLESSREBELS, over on the Twitter, and add 1 extra S at the end of that for our Instagram, and wherever you find your podcast, Reckless Rebellion.
Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Shout out to those who joined us live. Shout out to those who are joining us after the fact. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Follow us on socials at Agents Fandom on TikTok and Twitter. Agents of Fandom everywhere else. We'll be back Thursday for Invincible, Friday for Severance, Saturday for Comic Corner, and then it is going to be Daredevil Born Again coming soon as well. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We will see you next time. On behalf of myself, Damon, TCR, and Dennis, peace.